Hi, Jewish Mom. So probably a lot of you know that right now, like a week ago, then we entered a new era in the Jewish year, which is called new period of the Jewish year, which is called Shovavim, the Shovavim period, which is an acronym of the names of the parsha of the parsha weekly Torah portion, like starting with Shmot, Vayera, etc., etc. This year, actually, Shovavim is usually 6 weeks long. This year, because there's two Adars, then it's actually Shovavim Tat. There's actually an 8 week long Shovavim period. So what is the Shovavim period? This is the time of the year when we're supposed to focus on working on bringing more holiness into our lives and sort of limiting the amount of impurity and, let's say, immodesty and impurity in our lives, in our homes and our families and our lives. So I decided that what I want to do, another project for this Shovavim period, is that I really want to work on my computer filter situation, the internet filter, for me and for my children, get things more under control. And things are pretty under control, but I just saw, like, for example, like on my kids' filter, like I blocked YouTube, and then I came and I see them looking at YouTube and looking at things that were fine on YouTube, but I'd really rather them really, as much as possible, staying off of YouTube unless I personally handpick videos that I think are acceptable for them. Just whatever. So someone recommended me to sign up for Web Chaver. Web Chaver is, it's actually, so Web Chaver is spelled WEBCHAVER, which you probably understand is web friend. Basically, it's using the technology developed by a popular company called Covenant Eyes, which provides filtering services, as well as what they do, which is kind of unusual and maybe unique, is that you have someone who's a chaver, someone who you, let's say, a friend or like a mentor or someone, who then is going to see where you go on the internet. That afterwards, if you go to a site which is not just like, h.com or chabad.org or something like that, then something which is sort of like which their system thinks might be inappropriate, then like somebody who's your web chaver will get the report. So I signed up for this service for web chaver, for my computer, for my kid's computer, so anyone who uses these computers is actually, I'm my kid's chaver, I'm my kid's friend, and so I'm going to be able to see exactly where my kids go, unless exactly where my kids are going on the internet. And something nice about Web Chaver is that there's varying levels of from very, very strict, just like being able to handpick the sites where your kids go or you go, to also to being very, very permissive, and even if you like whatever you choose, then you always have the ability to override sites. Like you as the administrator, you have the right to override sites and to go basically where you think it's acceptable. And in the end, then if you like, then you can have someone who you're accountable to saw where you went, or with your kids that you see where they went. So I'm excited about it. I think this is good. I'm still sort of getting it set up on both of my computers. But I've been happy with it so far. But what I want to talk about today, something interesting, is that when I was using Web Chaver, so I noticed that they have something called panic. Like they have, like, sign in, sign out, panic. It's like, what's panic? So I was speaking actually with technical support at Covenant Eyes, and they said, and I asked them, like, what is this panic thing? Well, it turns out panic is, let's say someone is addicted to pornography, God forbid, and then they feel overwhelmed to, like, go and see a certain site on the internet. So then they just press panic. Panic means that they just, in that moment, they are disconnected from the internet completely. Their internet stops functioning. And so that's interesting, right? It's like your Yetzer Hara, because just a Yetzer Hara attack, and you just press panic, and so no more internet. So I thought this was really, really interesting. It got me thinking. This is a mommy pep talk. So I got me thinking about, like, like for mothers, like wouldn't it be great if we mothers had like a panic button, like when you're about to really, really lose it with your kids, and when you're about to just completely flip out with, you know, as a mom, then if there was a panic button, like something that you could do that just to like sort of get yourself in check, get yourself back on track. So I wanted to suggest two things that I found that over like this actually this past week, past over the last 2 weeks, that I was able to use. Just two situations in which I need to press the panic button, and what helped me, so I was able to sort of regain my sanity. Um, so um, so I think that I told you that, or I mentioned in a post that my husband was away on a work trip for 2.5 weeks, and so I was giving my kids on Thursday night. I was giving my kids baths before Shabbat, and I just had a really, really, really long afternoon. It'd been like a long, rainy afternoon at home with the kids. And I really, really didn't have the koach. I really didn't have like the space, like the headspace to be doing what I was doing. But I decided I was really on the verge of, for some reason, I find like giving baths kind of stressful and getting them to this, and I also had to check everyone for lice. I live in Israel. I had to check everyone every week for lice. This wasn't something I wanted to do. So what did I do? I decided to press the panic button. The panic button was, I said I was going to do something to improve my situation by 1%. I was going to do something to make the situation better by 1%. So what did I do? I went downstairs. My kids weren't in the bath yet. They were sort of like in their bathrobes, getting ready to get into the bath. I went downstairs. I opened the front door. It was pouring rain. And I just stood there and I took 5 breaths of the fresh air. And I thought, okay, this is I'm feeling 1% better, just like doing something for me so that I could be, you know, sane, press the panic button. I went back up to my kids and I was 1% better, but really actually it was enough that then I was able to get to the baths without losing it. Okay? Being like a basically normal human being. Okay, the next thing I want to tell you is on this past Shabbat morning, I was feeling a great deal of anger at a certain person. And I was just really, really just what did I want to do? I wanted to go and start screaming and acting very, very irrational and totally taking out all of my wrath on this person, right? I didn't care if it embarrassed me. I didn't care if it embarrassed the other person. I didn't care. I was just gonna have to, like, you know, just feeling completely like I had like a volcano about to explode. So what did I do? I pressed the panic button. What I do, I thought of 5 things. I decided I was going to start doing 5 things to spoil myself. You've probably heard about this. I do this also on Fridays. Do 5 things to spoil myself. When I'm in like a difficult situation, and I'm starting to feel like no one appreciates me, and no one this, and no one that, and no one this. Then I decided, okay, I'm going to do something to take care of myself right now. I'm going to do 5 things to spoil myself. And so what did I do? I sat down and made myself a cup of Chico, which is sort of decaffeinated coffee, and I read one of my serial stories in one of my From magazines, which I love. And then I told my older daughter, I said, "Can you watch the kids?" And I went out on a walk. And I just say, like, and by the time I came back to the house, I just felt in control again. I felt like I was in a good mood, and I felt like, and all of a sudden, like the burning volcanic fury, which I felt, like within, like it had really, really totally dissolved and evaporated and went away. And I ended up totally making up with this person I was angry with, as though like within several minutes, like everything which had happened was completely forgotten. So I want to bless all of you Jewish moms that when you're in a situation where you feel like you need to press the panic button, you're about to lose it, right? So what do? So one suggestion is just do something to make your situation 1% better. Do something very, very small. Can be, you know, just taking a moment to do something very, very small to yourself to make yourself feel better, 1% better. Okay. Another thing is just starting to do 5 things to spoil yourself. On this past Shabbat, I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do 5 things. But I started my list. I said, okay, like if I'd had time, I would have gone through 5 things. And I didn't have that much time. But I did like, I think 3 things, but just like starting to do things to take care of yourself. Something which I think is interesting about the panic button that they have actually at WebChaver um, is um, is that I was speaking with their technical support, actually, which is run through the company Covenant Eyes. So I was speaking with Covenant Eyes, the technical support, and I was asking yesterday. We were talking about other questions that I had, and I asked about the panic button. So I said, so what do you do when someone calls about the panic button? What do you? I mean, basically, they have to call that person then who sets the panic button, presses the panic button. They have to then call to get their internet back on. So I said, what is the protocol? Like when someone calls you after they've pressed the panic button, what do you do? And I was sort of imagining, like, do they have like a protocol that then like they give them a hard time, or that they say you really want to turn the internet back on, or maybe you want to go to like Internet Addict Anonymous, or maybe you need some therapy, or maybe da da da. But that wasn't what she said. What she said was, she said, well, if someone calls, they said we need to reset the panic button. Well, the protocol is, I say, what's your username? What's your password? Great, restart your restart your computer now. You're set to go. No judgment, no criticism, no asking, why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? Just moving on, I think it's the same is true with mothers, with our panic buttons. When we start beating ourselves up and we're like, why did I do this? And why did I do this? And how did I get this low? And how am I so awful? And no other mother is so awful as I am, because I just totally lose it and I just totally can't handle it. Everyone else can handle it, and no one else flips out, and no one else loses it like I do. No. You press the panic button. You did 5 things for yourself to spoil yourself. You made your situation 1% better, and move on. Refresh the computer, restart the computer, and move on. Okay, move on. You're doing fine. Take your next step in avodah, and take your next step in avodat Hashem and serving Hashem. Do your 5 spoiling things. You're 1% better, and keep on going. You're doing great. I want to bless all of your Jewish moms with an amazing, amazing week.